Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Connor's English Corner. This is Connor Pelham. Last week, I guess about a week and a half ago, the Accel World Infinite Burst set came out in English. So I guess everybody's had a little bit of time to play around with how they want that built, and I have as well. So I figured this week I would be talking about the yellow-red build of Accel World. Before I go too much into the yellow-red build, I do want to talk about this. So initially, so I've been playing a lot of Accel World lately, in Japanese, and with the English set coming out, I was wondering if there was anything different that the English deck needed to do to deal with its different meta. Obviously, the big deck in English is Attack on Titan, and also to a lesser extent Sword Art Online, both of which have very high-powered level 1 games. So I was wondering if a green-focused build would be able to handle those better and wall them out and basically prevent their level 1s from doing what they normally do, especially Attack on Titan, since it does require a reverse, and this 118k Summer Festival Chiuri here can actually deny that. On a side lane, it's usually like 8-5 or 9, which is already a little challenging for an Aaron to match. But with a counter, Aaron is just like never killing Chiuri. So I had put together a list that was yellow-green and focused on using the 118k Summer Festival Chiuri, the 1-0, I forget the name of it, the 1-0 Accelerate Lime Bell, and the level 0 Global that the 1-1 needs when you play it. And when it worked, and it was able to wall out Attack on Titan. The benefits of this deck are that it's really high at level 1, nothing bar like Soundless Voice can actually beat over it. Your Accelerate engine does not require stock or reverses, so you're very costless, and you don't care about AOT even if they do get their combo off. And you generally make up for taking damage through Accelerate by opening up direct attack lanes. So you're just swinging higher soul counts in order to make up for the damage that you're dealing to yourself. In the end, though, the list didn't quite work out, just because the deck, adding these cards, sacrificed too many consistency slots and deck control through like milling effects and whatnot. And too often the deck just sort of bricked and didn't quite get where it needed to be. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be showing you guys the yellow-green build this week just because I don't think it worked well enough, and with the deck having just come out, I want to show what I think the best build of the deck is. Maybe some later time I'll talk more about this or different sort of fun builds of the deck. So we'll be talking about yellow-red. General pros and cons of the deck. You have very high-power offensive characters. You have a ton of deck control. You have lots of effects that mill. You have your level 1 advantage, doesn't require a climax. You're not a climax combo, you're just an accelerate effect. So this means A, you're not relying on drawing into your climax to be able to function at level 1, which is an issue. Decks like AOT, like when you don't draw the wind with Aaron, that feels really bad. Kantai Shimakaze, if you don't draw the 2k1, that's a problem. Even Sword Art, the Yuki has a gold bar, so it's more likely you get it, but when you don't get it, you can feel it. So you don't have to worry about that. And also, since you're not playing a climax for level 1, it opens up the ability to play 2 other climax combos, which is really nice. You generate multiple pluses through a single reverse. You do need to reverse, which is one of the cons of the deck, but you don't have to reverse multiple lanes. Just reversing one lane can get you 2 to 3 cards. You also have a very strong level 2 early play game. One of the strongest ones in English, I think. Not as strong, say, as Konosuba, as holding the board down, but as far as the actual effect it has on the game state, I think Accel World's early play is one of the best ones in the game. So the cons of the deck, as I said, you do need to reverse at level 1, which can pose a problem when AOT is in the meta. I do think AOT is this deck's worst matchup by far. You are not favored against AOT whatsoever. But I think every other deck you stand a very good chance against. So I think that does position Accel World, especially for the upcoming Spring Fest, since every team can only have at most one Attack on Titan on it. I think this positions Accel World very well because it can deal with other decks very efficiently. So another con is that your accelerate effects do deal damage to yourself. So you do have to find a way to make up that damage. Otherwise, you're just punching yourself a bunch and helping your opponent out. And the last downside is that your finishers aren't the most consistent. Most of them rely on top checking, and when you top check level zeros or non-characters, you don't get to deal extra damage. So level zeros and non-characters, which are basically just climaxes, do make up about half the deck. So a lot of your late game effects have about a 50-50 chance of actually doing anything, which is again one of the downsides when I did a video on Konosuba, the goddess build. Eris being inconsistent was one of the biggest downsides of that deck. So sort of comes back here. Wish there was a better one, but unfortunately this deck just doesn't have, this series rather just doesn't have better options. So going into the actual deck list, this is sort of the baseline list that I'm looking at. A couple of card counts in here can change for sure. Especially the level 0 lineup, it's sort of spread a little thin rather than just like 4-4-4-4 or whatever. And I'll explain when I get to the cards why I've got them like that, but I do think a lot of the numbers in this list can be changed and it wouldn't like hurt the deck. Might even make it better in some aspects, just consistency wise. And like one of my level 2s is sort of a tech meta choice that you can put into another level 3 slot or whatever. But yeah, so this is the list. It's all characters and climaxes, no events, just yellow, red, nothing, no third color we're splashing for, apart from some utility zeros. So yeah, we'll just go into what each of the cards do and why I've got them in there. So first up is Gloomy Countenance Kuryuki Hime. On play, you can give an avatar net 1500 power, which helps out your on-reverse level 1 effects, since you can just pump them to higher power. It's like the Pucci Mikon and Tolaveru, how you just want to guarantee your reverses and get out of counter range against a lot of stuff. And its second effect is one we would play anyway. So it's a Brainstorm, pay 1, rest 2. For each climax you hit, you get to search your deck for an avatar or net character, which is every character in the deck. So it's just a good consistency Brainstorm, and it has an effect that helps out the rest of our deck anyway. So really good card. I've only got 3 just because the deck is really like tight on slots, and I couldn't fit the 4th. Next we have I don't even know how you pronounce this word. Vacillating Memories. Kuryuki Hime. This is a global. 500 global to all your avatar and net characters. And this is the first card sort of that supports our Accelerate engine. Whenever you use an Accelerate ability, you give one of your characters the ability, when they reverse their battle opponent, you can pay 1, search your deck for an avatar or net. So this is how you sort of stack multiple effects onto the same character, so that when they get their reverse, they just get a bunch of advantage combo, or a bunch of like advantage generating effects, like searches, salvages, etc. What's also nice is that you don't have to pay the 1 until after you reverse. So A, you're not paying stock up front in case you just don't get the reverse. But B, you can also go into level 1. Say you only have like 1 stock going into level 1, you can use it for a Brainstorm or whatever, and you don't have to worry about accelerating with no stock and not being able to do this. Next we have Silver Crow. This is just a standard mill runner. It's just in here for a plussing level 0 to help us keep slots. Also, being a runner, it's better with our level 1s, since they need to reverse. We can guarantee that our opponent can't crash their characters into us, which gives us more reverse targets, more weak reverse targets for our level 1s. Full of Vigor Chieri is very similar to the Winter Akatsuki or whatnot. Chieri is actually sort of the name of its own archetype in Japanese, where it's effectively the same effect. You except it's when it goes, instead of from hand to stage, it's when it goes from stage to waiting room. You can discard 1 to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose an avatar or net, add it to your hand. The timing on this is worse than Winter Akatsuki and the Azusa effects, because you can't use the card that you're getting on the same turn. You have to wait until the Chieri goes to waiting room, rather than just being able to, in the same turn, grab a card and play it. Also, she does lose to clock bombs, stock bombs, and whatnot that can just remove her from the field without sending her to the waiting room. but we still play her because she's a free discard out, and she lets us mill through our deck, and also just check more cards to make sure we get the level 1s that we need. Because there is a specific level 1 that we need on our board when we hit level 1, for a lot of our effect, or for one of our most important effects to function. So this just lets us dig deeper and make sure we get it. Next we have Summer Festival Utai. This is just a level 0 bomb. Normally I wouldn't play level 0 bombs in decks unless they have like a really good second effect. I don't think trading 1 for 1 is usually too great. But the second effect on this is really good. Or something the deck likes. It's on play, you can put the top 3 cards of your deck into your waiting room, which is just more mill, more control. Our early play requires 2 or fewer climaxes in waiting room, so this lets us sort of control our deck state and make sure we get to refresh when we want to. Especially in combination with the number of other mill effects we have, such as that Chieri, and one of our level 1s, and our next level 0 as well. All let us put cards from our deck into our waiting room. So we can sort of turbo through our deck, make sure we hit refresh when we want. However, the level 0 bomb effect is actually relevant in this deck as well. This deck's worst matchup, as I said, is Attack on Titan, and having level 0 bombs, if we're able to, say, crash this into a Krista or something, then we can clear our board of anything that's not a runner, and try to deny Attack on Titan their combo the turn they go into level 1, which might give us extra time to get our effect off. Since all we need is 1 reverse, it's possible that we can get there against Attack on Titan, if we can sort of deny their combo and just try to sneak in that 1 reverse that we need before they get to go off. And this card really helps with that. Last, we have Girl Who Aimed for the Skies, Fuko. This is a blue 0. It's our first actual accelerator. So at the beginning of our climax phase, we can put the top card of our deck into our clock. If we do, she gains an ability. When she attacks, look at up to 3 cards from the top of our deck, choose 1, put it in our hand, put the rest in waiting room, and then we discard a card. So it's only a break even. We don't get the plus. So we just take a damage to break even. But it lets us add any card to our hand. Sorry about that if you hear the phone ringing in the background. It lets us add any card to our hand, which means we can grab climaxes if we want them, or any of our characters. Typically we're going to be grabbing characters. We're looking for those specific level 1 pieces, and it lets us mill out our deck. However, since it's also an accelerate, if we have the global level 0 on our board, we can give it the effect to, on reverse, pay 1 and search as well. So that lets us sort of do a pay 1, clock 1, hand fix, and search, which is sort of like a Ricky, just takes more moving pieces than a reverse. But it's still good. And 2/5, this plus the global, is fairly decent size. It's going to be able to reverse utility level 0s. Stuff like other, like Rickies, I guess. Drop searchers usually. If your opponent has to like front row a Brainstorm, or like an Azusa or something, like a Winter Akatsuki, you should be able to reverse that, and just get your nice plus off of it. So that, yeah, having these lets us do that at level 0, and we don't have to wait until level 1 to start getting pluses. Alright, so our first level 1, this is one of our 2 main accelerators that we're focusing on using. So it's a 1/0/45 on play against 500 times the number of our avatar net characters, so it's like Sword Art Yuki, where it just gets really big on play. And then accelerate, at the beginning of climax phase, we can clock ourselves against 1,000 power, so it gets even bigger. So if you play this last, it's going to be 7k, and then it goes up to 8k with its accelerate effect. So even though we don't have to play a climax, like, you're already big without the climax, which is good. Because like one of the things about like on reverse climax combos is that the climax is usually helping you get there, but Kuryuki Hime is big enough even without the climax to get most reverses. So when she does reverse, we get to look at up to 4 cards from the top of our deck, choose an avatar or net, and add it to our hand. So this is just more sort of controlled milling, more checking multiple cards to grab what we want. Not quite as selective as a search, but it still gives us good selection on our effects. And we can burn through our deck. So this deck's really good at getting a refresh at like late level 1. as well, so we can get that good clock compression and whatnot. And yeah, we're just really big. This is probably the best card to stack your like on reverse searches from the global on, because then you're already giant, and when you get your reverse, you can check top 4 and search in whichever order you want. So we have two 2K backups. That's all this does. It's just a 2K backup. We're playing these because our other level 1 is big enough to be worth protecting. It's like a 6/5. And we also have early play level 3s. So if our opponent does manage to get just barely over an early play level 3, having a counter to protect it is really nice. So yeah, we're just playing 2 of these for that reason. Alright, so this is one of the cards that we really need on our stage at level 1. Calming Sight, Nico and Pato. It's a global 500, just like our other one, to all of our avatar net characters, and has the same sort of effect where when we accelerate, we can give one of our characters an on reverse pay 1+. The other one, the level 0, was we can pay 1 to search. This is pay 1 to salvage. So we're playing more of this than the search one. Even though I generally prefer the search one, our other accelerator at level 1 actually requires this on the stage. So that's why we're playing more copies of this. But also, salvage is nice. It lets us reuse backups and stuff like that. And we have so many mill effects that we can fill our waiting room and get just as good selection out of this most of the time. Anti-salvage also is not an issue for this, because you can just attack last with whatever you put this on. And when you get that reverse last, you can salvage and all your characters have already attacked. So it doesn't matter that you're getting -3 soul or whatever. So that's pretty nice. Next we have Winter's Day Nico. So this is our other main accelerator. It gains 500 power for each of our other avatar net if we have the Calming Sight Nico and Pato on board. So that's why we play so many copies of it. It turns this into sort of a Taige clone. So on a full board, Nico is 6,000, 65 if you count the global. Which is, again, like big enough to be able to get some reverses. Unfortunately, not as big as the Kuryuki Hime level 1. So the second effect is when you play this from stage to hand, we can look at the top card of our deck and either leave it on top or put it in the waiting room. So this is, it can help you make sure you're not going to like accelerate a climax into your clock on accident. If you do see a climax on top, you know you can just brainstorm and you can go ahead and get a plus that way, which is nice. And one of our level 3s top checks to deal damage when it attacks. So we can use this to sort of guarantee that we're going to hit that top check for to be able to deal damage. And last, it has an accelerate effect. At the beginning of climax phase, we can clock ourselves. This gains +1 level, and the following ability, when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, we can salvage an avatar net character. So again, this doesn't really care about anti-salvage, because you can just attack with this last, and then you get your salvage after you've dealt all your damage for the turn. So being able to stack the global that gives a salvage effect onto this, and just salvaging 2, and not caring about anti-salvage is really nice. The +1 level, I wish it gained power instead of a level, but the level is, it does let us deal with level 1 bombs and such. So we can get rid of, say, like, Chicas for Love Live Sunshine and stuff like that without really having to worry too much about them. However, you do have to be aware, sometimes it opens you up to, like, anti-change. Really, like, Love Live and Konosuba, I guess, are the only relevant decks that have level 1 anti-change. The others are, like, Nisakoi and Fate. But none of the level 1 anti-change are really worth using against this, but it's worth noting that they're there. Just to be safe. So yeah, that's yeah, this is another one that's really good to stack effects on. I don't know that you'd really want to pay as much stock as this would take, but say you have this and you accelerate and you have both globals in the back, and you can just give this like on reverse pay 1 search, on reverse pay 1 salvage, on reverse salvage, just for getting 1 reverse is really good. So like your opponent can't really just clear their board to deny your reverse effects, because if they leave a single character anywhere, you can get as many as 3 cards off of it, which is just great. So this is also the level 1 that we want to protect with like our backup, because it's like 6/5, so 2K backup makes it 8/5, which is big enough to deny most things, You're still probably going to lose out to like Attack on Titan and Sword Art, but any other deck you're fine against. So into level 2s, we have a backup, A Scene in the Summer, Kuryuki Hime. When you use this card's backup, you can pay 2 to return all cards in your waiting room to your deck and shuffle your deck. Since we have really good mill effects, sometimes you accidentally mill out too many climaxes, and you just want to use this. It just gets you out of a bad deck situation. Even if you say have like 6 cards left in deck, but you know there aren't any climaxes, you can just play this, get all your climaxes back into your deck. It takes some stock, but it can get you out of bad situations. It's also just another backup to have to save our early play. This one's being 2500 power. So that's always nice, just to have backup to save our early play. Alright, so we have 2 copies of A Scene in the Summer Pado. This is an assist. All of your level 3 or higher characters in front of this card get plus 2000 power. So this is obviously meant to just specifically go with our early play, so we can make our early play really big on defense. It also bonds to a level 3 that we do play. It's not our early play, unfortunately, but we do play it. So having the bond to it is nice. It's just a discard bond into competitive Scarlet Rain. So this is another handout, I guess. If you have too many climaxes in your hand, you can play this down, grab your level 3, and just have it for when you need it. Alright, then we have Armor Up Command, Scarlet Rain. It has a climax combo, but we don't play the climax for it, so that's sort of irrelevant. But we play it for its second effect. When this card becomes reversed, if the level of this card's battle opponent is higher than your opponent's level, you can reverse that character. So it's an anti-change bomb. Nothing in English. There's not anything like that we need to remove with other sorts of anti-change bomb effects, so just reversing it is fine. It does allow our opponent to encore it if they can give their early play, like character encore or something. So that's a little unfortunate, but it does just work as a way to remove early plays. And it gets rid of darkness, which is really, I think, the biggest early play in English that you should be concerned about for Konosuba. But we can remove that. We can remove opposing Nico early plays in the mirror. Anything like that. It's just an out if you need it. So last, I have 1 copy of In the Heat of Battle Utai. Most lists that I see aren't running this, but I think it has a relevant effect for the deck. So its second effect is when your other avatar net character attacks, this gains 1500 power until end of turn. So this does attack for like 9500 before boosts, which is still relatively large and can kill a lot of things. If you have like globals and a climax, you might kill weaker early plays. Maybe. I wouldn't count on that too much, but you can at least kill opposing like level 1s and 2s for sure. And the first effect is the sort of like niche role player that we want in the deck. When we play this card from hand to stage, we can discard a card to choose one of our opponent's cost 0 or lower in back row and send it to our opponent's waiting room. So this lets us, in the Kantai Collection and Tolovru matchups, remove our opponent's anti-salvage. Since our early play does have an on-attack salvage combo, it is actually hurt by anti-salvage, unlike our level 1s. So this lets us remove anti-salvage, so we can still use our early play combo. Also, in any matchup where it's relevant, Konosuba, if you have the extra hand to play this, you can remove their Kazuma Brainstorm so they can't use Megumin combo, unless they go get another Kazuma. You can just remove various back row things that could be troublesome. You can just kill their Brainstorm or whatever. Attack on Titan, you can kill their Aaron Globals, I guess. Most of the time, you don't really want to just play this card just to play it and like kill something, because that's usually not worth the 1 stock in hand. But in matchups where there is a back row giving you a lot of trouble, you can get rid of it. So it's an option that's nice to have, and I think the being able to get rid of anti-salvage is good enough to play the 1 copy of this for the matchups where you need it. Alright, so our first level 3, this is our main level 3, Bond of the Accelerated World, Kuryuki Hime. It's on play heal, and a climax combo. It combos the wind. When you play the climax, if this card is in front row, choose this card and one of your other characters. Both of them get plus 1500 and the ability. When their damage is cancelled, put the top card of your deck into your waiting room and deal X damage to your opponent, where X is that card's level. So this is one of the effects where, unfortunately, half of our deck is climaxes and level 0s, and those will just deal 0 damage. But when you hit the other half of the deck, that's level 1s, 2s, and 3s, you can deal a little bit of extra damage. And kind of, I don't want to compare the card to Yami in Telever because it's nowhere near as powerful, but it's sort of that idea where you stack like multiple cancel burns onto stuff, and then when your damage is canceled, you still get through instances of damage. And it's possible that you mill like a level 2 or a level 3 off of this and deal 2 damage when they cancel your attack. Most of the time you're just going to be dealing 1 if you deal any, but it's better than nothing. And this card does heal anyway, so that's good. Alright, so this is our early play, A Scene in the Summer in Eco. If the number of our climaxes in waiting room is 2 or less, this gets -1 level in our hand. So that's what we have all the sort of controlled mill effects for, so we can make sure that we get to that condition when we need it. On play we can heal, which is pretty good at level 2. And when this card attacks, if a card named Having Fun in the Summer, which is a door, is in your climax area, choose up to 1 character in your waiting room, return it to your hand. Until end of turn, this gains 1,000 power and the following ability. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you may put that character on top of your opponent's deck. So this does a lot. It does a lot, and it does a lot of really good stuff. So it's an early play. It's a 2-soul beater at level 2. It heals, and then we get to salvage. So it's an early play that sets us up for a level 3 game. So this deck very easily, level 0 can set up for 1, and then 1 can set up for 2, and then 2 can set up for 3. So the deck flows very well into each next stage of the game. It also gains power, so it can reverse things. And with the 2k assist, this is like 13-5, which can kill a fair number of things on offense. And then it's going to be like 11-5 on defense, maybe 12. Just still, you can protect that with a backup. And then, not only that, when you do reverse your opponent, which is likely, you get to put it on top of your opponent's deck, so you have an even higher chance of your damage sticking. So you're playing a climax and swinging with this, so it's effective. That's 3-soul, but since you know the top card of the deck is clean, it effectively has the chance of sticking that a 2-soul attack would. So you're favored to push even more damage, which when you heal and deal them more damage, you're just opening up that gap so that your cancel burns can finish off your opponent at level 3, hopefully. And this is the card that we play the Utai, the 2-1 Utai for. So if they do have anti-salvage, we can get rid of it with so that this can still use its effect. Our last level 3 is Competitive Scarlet Rain. So this card gets 1,000 power times the level of the character facing this card. So against a level 3, this is going to be an 11-5. Against a level 2, this is a 10-5. So it's going to kill pretty much any level 2. Might not kill every level 3, but it's 11-5 is still a reasonable power against them. So the effect that we play this for is the second effect. When this card attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's Avatar Net, deal X damage to the opponent, where X is equal to that character's level. So this is the other one where, since half of our deck is not Avatar Net or is level 0, those just aren't going to be dealing damage. But since we have the level 1 Winter Day Nico that can top check, we can at least hopefully increase our chance of dealing some amount of damage with this. And this is also a really good target to put Kuryuki Hime's combo on. Since this deals 2 instances of damage, if either of those cancel, we get to do the cancel burns from Kuryuki Hime's combo, rather than just hoping the attack sticks. Either the attack, or rather than that the attack cancels. If either the attack or the burn cancel, you get to do it. You can't do it if both cancel, unfortunately. You only get to do it on the first one, since the combo is once per turn. But an ideal field would look something like 2 Kuryuki Hime's and 1 Scarlet Rain. And you could put both Kuryuki Hime's on themselves and then both on the Scarlet Rain. So if they cancel the burn, you get to mill 2 and deal that much damage. Or if they take the burn and then cancel the attack, you can also do it. So yeah, it's a lot of milling and hoping you don't hit the 0s and climaxes. But when you don't hit them, it's a pretty formidable top end. So it's still respectable. So this is the climax for the level 3 Kuryuki Hime. It's a wind, 1k1. And then this is the climax for the Nico early play, which is a door. Unfortunately, the doors, we are going to have to worry about anti-salvage the entire game. And we're going to have to worry about anti-heal a decent bit, since a lot of our level 3s heal. But we still function without having access to those things, and we have plenty of salvage that gets around anti-salvage, so it's not a huge issue. So a couple of other cards I'm not playing that are worth considering. Unfortunately, there aren't a ton, because pretty much the entire first set for Accel World is just not worth looking at. But there are a couple. So first up is Summer Festival Kuryuki Hime. This is an option instead of the level 0 Fuko. You can play this as your Accelerate at level 0. It's on attack, search for a yellow character, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then discard one. Rather than anything from top 3, you get to guarantee what you want, but it has to be yellow. And you can't grab climaxes with this. But in a more yellow-focused deck, where you're not using as many of the salvage options, this is really good. And if I was in a yellow-focused deck, with just a little bit of red for like the early play Nico and such, I would definitely be playing this instead. Alright, Driving Scarlet Rain. So this is another one that works with the level 1 Nico and Pod Global. If you have the Nico and Pod Global, all of your other avatar and net get plus 500 power, so it becomes another global. And it's a Brainstorm. You pay 1, rest 2, and it salvages a character for each climax you hit, instead of the Search Brainstorm we play. I do think the Search one is better, just because the you can use it without, you can use it to search stuff before you get to mill a whole bunch. But also the on-play power effect, I think, is more useful than just having this global 500. Because you already have plenty of other globals in the deck. And I think that burst power when you need it is better. Though this is more red if you do want more red color fix. But I think the deck has enough already. So last level 0 is Mini Fuko. This is one of the box topper promos. When this card is placed on stage from hand, look it up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, put them on top of your deck in any order. So you can use this to just sort of guarantee your burn effects, especially with the like level 3 Scarlet Rain. You can look at top 2 and put the one on top that is a level where it would deal damage. You can also put, say, like, your top 2 are a like 0 and a 2. You can put them in the order to where it's the 0 and then the 2, and then attack with Kuryuki Hime level 3, so that you trigger the 0, but then you would burn 2 if they cancel. And you can sort of manipulate stuff like that. It also lets you look at 2, so you know the top 2, which means you're even, like, you check even further to know whether you're going to hit on a Brainstorm. And if you do see a climax, you can Brainstorm and go ahead and get your plus at any point in the game. Alright, so for level 1, we have Rousing Battlecry Kuryuki Hime. This is just your sort of secondary beater if you are playing the more yellow-focused build, where you just run like higher counts of the Search Global, and you don't run like the Salvage one or the Winter Day Nico. You can play this as your other level 1. It's just a 6/5, can't frontal attack higher level. You'd very rarely field this if you were playing it. You just bump the like Accelerate Kuryuki Hime up to 4 and play this at like 2 or 3 maybe. You'd still use the 2k counters to protect this, and it'd just be a beater. Alright, we have Bloody Kitty Blood Leopard. This is just a level 1 bomb. The only time you'd really want to play this is if your opponents have like really big level 1s that you just can't reverse normally, or if you're against like Attack on Titan. You can field these, and then their errands have to crash into bombs, and they don't want to do that. Because that just kills their errand. They can't bounce it back to hand and reuse it. So, unless your meta is like all Attack on Titan and all like wall decks, I wouldn't play this. But it is something to consider if that is the case. Next, we have our sort of alternative top end. If you didn't want to run the Kuryuki Hime level 3, you could try to fit a little more blue and use these next 3 cards. They all sort of work together to form a top end. That's a pretty strong top end. It requires reverses and also requires blue, which I'm not playing enough of in this list to fit. But if you do want to try to work into this, this is your sort of alternate option to the Kuryuki Hime. So Ardor Maiden is a 3/2 11k. It can't side attack because it's 11,000 power, but you can pay 1 to give it 2k, and when it's placed on stage from hand, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's Avatar or Net, you deal damage. So even if it's level 0, you get to deal a damage, unlike all of our other level 3s. So this one has a lot higher chance of getting its burn through. Then we have Strato Shooter Skyraker. On play, draw 2, discard 1. And it has a climax combo. When it reverses its opponent, if combination is in play, you can pay 3 and sack one of your other Avatar or Net characters from the stage into your waiting room to choose the Ardor Maiden from your hand and play it to stage, which is this other level 3. And since you're playing it from hand, you do get to do the reveal top card, deal a damage if it's a character. So it creates sort of this like pseudo restand that also has a burn 1 built in. And the Ardor Maiden gains 4,000 power, but that's less relevant. But it does sort of create this like, if you can field like 2 Skyrakers and have the Ardor Maidens in hand, you can get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks and maybe 2 burns in. Which is strong. It's really strong. Takes more resources, a little harder to set up. Also requires reverses, which can be a problem. I think your Attack on Titan matchup is already bad enough. I'd rather just go with the one that doesn't require the top end that doesn't require reverses. But this does exist. It's not bad. It's good. It's threatening. Just a little harder to pull off. And this is the climax for it. It's a book. Just 1k1, draw a card when you trigger it. Alright, so here's the deck list again. A couple of the slots that I think could change. The Utai Bombs are mostly just in there for red fix, and for the AOT matchup, and to mill. I think those could come out, just to be like the 4th copy of the Chiyuri 0, or the 4th Brainstorm, because I think both of those are things that would be nice to have at 4. The Nico early play, if you want it at 4, it could also come out for that. The most lists play the 4th Nico instead of the Utai 2-1. If you don't have a lot of anti-salvage in your meta, then Utai definitely does not have to be there at all, and that can go into whatever other slot you feel like you want most. Most of the other things I would keep in. Obviously, the Fuko can change to the Kuryuki Hime Accelerator at level 0, if you'd rather do that. I just think Fuko's a better accelerator in general at level 0. You could even up the counts of Fuko if you want to focus more on plussing at 0 before your opponent can get level 1s onto the board. But I don't think that's really too necessary. Other than that, Accel World does not have the biggest card pool, so there's not a whole lot else you can play. Yeah. Guess that's about it for the deck list. If there's anything you think I'm wrong about, or you think should be in my list, or should not be in my list, let me know. Let me know what deck you want me to do next on, I guess it'll be the first week of December. Yeah, so thanks for watching, comment, subscribe, all that. November's been pretty slow so far, so if you guys have any questions you want me to answer next week, when I'm doing sort of just like the monthly review, please ask those. I'd love to answer some questions. Love to talk about just sort of the English game right now, since very few regionals this month, very few tournament results posted, no set announcements and whatnot yet so far. That could change before I record next week's video. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this deck. Let me know if you guys have been playing Accel World. Let me know if you guys are going to play it for Springfest, because I know Accel World's a pretty popular series. Yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.